R-Y, that spells Rotary.
The 200,000 people that have passed away in the United States alone from the coronavirus. We pray for them and we pray for their families. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Let me get a flag up. Everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So let me see. Mr. Alfaro, you want to lead us in a flag salute?
Yes, I will. Please place your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
America.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you very much. All right. Again, we'd like to welcome Lori back. We're very happy to see her again. Yeah, and we're always happy to see Doran. So,
Yes.
It's good to see him again.
To be here.
Announcements. Dave, do you have anything you want to mention about Red Ribbon?
Yes, thank you. I've been in contact with Pete Gonzalez from the Camarena Foundation. They're bummed out that they can't be involved in Red Ribbons this year as well. I've sent information asking the foundation what other people might be doing to provide with drug education and awareness, and for not only the children but for families. They do have a resource page on the CamarenaFoundation.org website, so we may want to tap into that. I am setting up a meeting, dual meeting, not only with our members of our club, but members, Don and Luann, who have co-chaired this event for quite a while. So we're getting things rolling now that we've gotten our 5K out of the way, and see what we can do. Please put your thinking caps on and come up with ideas. I know Drexel's one of Drexel's ideas was to go ahead and make pancakes again, have juice again, plates, the whole bit, and maybe do like a drive-by giveaway of the pancake breakfast, and have, fire department personnel and police department personnel hand them out, things like that. So that's one of the ideas. Let's take a look and see. Like I said, everybody think about what we can do based upon what we've done in the past. And the other thing I'd like to do is through the school district, maybe I'm curious to see what the teachers have planned for Red Ribbon Week in the school, since everything's being done virtually, and that kind of stuff. So those are some of my thoughts at this point.
Okay, are we still aiming for the same date?
Well, Red Ribbon Week is the last full week in October. So that starts on the 24th and ends on the 31st. And that it's just a whole Red Ribbon Rally is definitely a hands-on project. And so now, we're not allowed to be hands-on anymore. And so it's going to make it tough to really figure out what we can do. The overall theme is to get, drug education awareness out there. And so how are we going to do that? And naturally, by, working through the schools, we've always emphasized our advertisements to the school kids and through the school kids, it gets to the parents, and then the parents bring the school kids to the high school, and then we have our festival, so to speak, with our theme and allowing all the young kids to participate in the singing, the dancing, the all the displays that we have. And so now we can't do that, and that's the frustrating part. It's just really frustrating not to be able to have an event where the Camarena family shows up. I mean, that's how good our event is, because they enjoy coming up from San Diego to be at our event, because we do what they envision everybody should do. My English isn't very good today, but anyways, that's the frustrating part. Now we're limited in what we can do, but I know we can get out the word as far as drug awareness goes. How are we going to do that?
I think we could still do the art contest.
Yes, we can, but then that's what we have to do. That's what we have to work with the educators that we have, is, working with our, doing the arts. How are they going to provide information about Red Ribbon Week? And maybe we can tap off of the resources out of CamarenaFoundation.org. So that's
Okay.
where we're at.
Okay.
At some point, I'm going to be reaching out for us to have maybe a nightly Red Ribbon think tank Zoom meeting and go from there. All right.
May I suggest something, or for your consideration? We have what we call a awareness presentation team that is composed of high school cadets, of our cadets, and their responsibility is to present topics of that nature. So, anti-drug, anti-vape, et cetera, at the middle schools and even at the elementary schools. So if you think you could use our cadets, even if it's virtually, they would love to do it. This is part of their community service duty.
That's great. Thank you. I get that, because that was one of the things I was thinking about. Not only your cadets, the police cadets, the fire cadets, all the youth. The more youth you get involved, and the more you steer them in the right direction, just like you're doing, then that's where we're going to win.
Yes,
we're going to win. We're going to definitely in doing positive things.
I agree. Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
No problem, sir.
Okay. The second thing is I've talked with Alicia about Thanksgiving baskets, and she says that it's a go as far as East Valley's concerned. And I just need to get in contact with the club, the country club, for getting a location to construct the baskets. And I'm thinking that I'm gonna talk with Chris, and I think, one way or the other, we ought to be able to do it, is, obviously weather permitting. They're at either outside at the pool or that kind of thing, set up some tables and do our basket construction. And then the other thing is, so I've got to do that. And the other thing is, Phyllis is doing the preparation for teacher mini grants. So she's contacting the school district and going to talk to them about that. So that's coming up as well. I think that's everything I have. Does anybody else have something they want to add to the list? Yolanda, you want to give a little synopsis, very brief synopsis of?
No, so we're going to do that. We're going to do that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Just wait till then.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I just can't. My camera's not working, so I don't know what the deal is.
Well, you've got good company this week.
I guess. But I have a board meeting that later. I got to figure this out with my IT person. Yeah.
The gremlins are at work today.
They are.
So
as it relates to the Thanksgiving baskets,
Yeah, Dorn.
if if we're looking at assembling those outside, if the country club isn't an option, let me know. We might be able to set something up in our parking lot, which is pretty close to the clinic location, as an alternative. The clinic itself doesn't have a lot of excess parking, so to set up there would be kind of tough, but my office is about a block away from the clinic. So just throw that out for what it's worth. If it's an idea worth exploring, we can talk more.
Oh, appreciate it, Dorn. Yeah, I'll make sure we get that nailed down this week, and that way we're not guessing about it. So.
Sure. Sounds good.
All right.
One more thing, you can always tell Jose, since he's not here, that he volunteered his office, which is right across the street from the clinic. He just volunteered his office to have everybody over to assemble baskets.
There you go. I know that there's a dentist in the neighborhood too that might have some space. So, we got options.
There is options. I like nominating Jose though.
Well, Jose joined, but I don't see him. But anyway. All right. Are we ready to get started, Captain? I'm about ready to go ahead and introduce you. Captain Acuña. Captain Acuña, as most of us know, he's presented to our group of 4. Although when I was looking back through the records, I was really shocked at how long it's been, Captain. It looked like it'd been a couple years since you came to our club.
Yes, sir, it has. And time goes by quickly. So
Holy cow. I didn't believe it. I kept checking, thinking, where did we not sit, write him down? But anyway, yeah, it's we enjoy having you, and we really, really appreciate the work you're doing at the high school. Very important.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're really glad that you've been able to kind of be present, give them some consistency of leadership.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
over this whole period. That's important. Instead of, somebody new every year makes it pretty tough.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's nice. So why don't we go ahead and have you get started on your presentation, and we'll go from there.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. And good afternoon to everyone. And I'm honored that you've asked me to once again present to you. As you may know or may not know, I am the Senior Aerospace Science Instructor over at West Covina High School. And I am a credentialed teacher, and the subject is Air Force Junior ROTC. And a lot of folks have a misconception of what our program is about, because they automatically assume that it's to militarize our children, and it's quite the contrary. The Air Force is very, very adamant about we instructors informing the parents and the community that we are here to educate, we're here to mentor, we're here to build our mission statement, which is building better citizens for the country who will serve the nation and their communities. And that's basically it. Yes, they do have to wear the uniforms, and they have to follow military protocols. But if you ask me, I think all of those disciplinary type themes are fantastic for young people, particularly these days when they get lost in their peripheral devices. But with that being said, today is a very special day, and not only because I'm presenting at the Rotary Club, but also because today would have marked my 15th year as a commissioned officer. And that would have been a total of 29 active duty years. But I got to tell you just a little bit. I don't want to bore you with my career story, but I will give you this, that I know I've made the right choices in terms of retiring when I did from Cal State San Bernardino. I used to teach college ROTC. So the mission of the college ROTC program is to essentially build Air Force officers. And the mission of junior ROTC is quite different. So in the high school, we allow anyone to join. So for the first time ever, we have one of our cadets who doesn't have any legs, so he's handicapped, but I'm extremely proud of him. He's there giving it 100% effort. We also have about I'd say 7% SPED population. EL population, so English learners as well. And we're all lucky if they happen to be of Latinx descent because I can speak Spanish. So, and the reality is in our program, it's like family. So what happens is the students come in, they may feel a little disoriented at first, but they quickly get basically welcome to the family. So they're there during the breaks, during the lunch, before and after school, and they pick up the English language a lot faster than they would in just traditional classes. So I'm very proud of those factors. So back to what I was saying, I no doubt I'd be a lieutenant colonel right now, but who knows where. And the reason I made my decision to retire was for my family. So, and now that I think it was fate that brought me to West Virginia High School. Believe it or not, I live in Hemet, so I commute 77 miles one way. But I don't mind doing it because of the love that I have for the students. So, and feel free to stop me anytime for questions, please. So I mentioned in my email that I was expecting certain things to happen with this virtual platform that we are operating under, and some things that were not expected are also happening. So, so let's start with that. I'm happy to tell you that we were supposed to have about 60-something cadets this year, and our minimum number is always 100. It's either 100 students or 10% of the population. And being that we have about 2,300 students at West Virginia High School, we always have to have a minimum of 100 students. But what I'm happy to report to you all is that there's still a sense of patriotism in the country, meaning instead of having 60 cadets, I have 88 cadets. And this is without active recruiting, because the students who really are able to recruit others are cadets. It's not going to be Captain AP. They don't want to hear from me. As a matter of fact, during registration this year, I think I approached a young man and his parents, and mom says, "Oh, no, not for my son. Oh, no, not for my son." And I understand. I mean, ugly, intimidating guy in a military uniform, you're thinking recruiter. No, I'm not trying to recruit. I'm a high school teacher, really, I swear. But it's difficult just to get past that. And of course, headquarters, which is located in Montgomery Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama, they're very strict about what we can and cannot do. So we have to wear the uniform. And obviously, they pay for 50% of the program. So rightfully so. Not only that, in a certain way, the camouflage of these OCPs, which they're called now, they do attract the youth. And I know that's because of the first shooter games and whatnot, but whatever it is, they're still coming to the program. So that was one thing that was unexpected, and I'm very happy to report that I think we're going to be able to meet that 100 cadet mark before October 10th, which is the deadline. The other unexpected thing is you mentioned consistency, sir, and let's see, this is going to be my 5th year. And unfortunately, the program is supposed to have a retired commissioned officer and a retired senior non-commissioned officer, which would be a sergeant. So we've hired somebody who I know personally used to work with me at Luke Air Force Base in Phoenix, Arizona. He, by trade, he's an auto mechanic, or not, I wouldn't say auto mechanic, let's say a mechanic of anything with wheels on it. So bucket trucks, de-icers, you name it. This guy is a diesel mechanic master. But the better part of that is that he's a master instructor in the classroom. So he's earned his master instructor badge through the Air and Education Training Command in the Air Force. And he, like me, is very passionate about teaching. So I think he should be starting in about a week or 2, max. And that's going to bring additional benefits to the program, because now we'll be able to do more, divide and conquer, stay after school longer, et cetera. So that's really good. Here in Hemet, my daughter is actually just starting her freshman year, She started at Hemden High School's junior ROTC program. And this is the cool part. So here's what you have to be really proud of. So Hemden High School has a junior ROTC program, and so do we. But they are, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, we're probably at around a 9. And they're probably around a 3, no kidding. So their instructors, they're full on. They have a retired colonel and a retired chief, master sergeant. And they're not wearing uniforms. They're not doing physical fitness. And it just wowed me. So what they do on a typical week is they watch videos. And that's great. You know, they learn about world events. They learn about, patriotic aspects of our country. That's great. But in our program, the students are getting their uniforms. We're taking all the necessary safeguards to ensure that when the students come in and their parents come in, we have the distancing, everyone wears masks, and then we give them their uniforms, and then their consent forms are filled out and they return, they go home. So in terms of the physical fitness, we just got done doing physical fitness today. So Wednesdays are our physical fitness days because they're our shortened days. And here's some other unexpected stuff. You mentioned, sir, I think you need to think outside the box. You need to be innovative. How is it that we can still have that essence of junior ROTC without actually being physically present in the classroom? So what I told the students is, all right, this is going to be something very cool because, for one, I've never done this. I did do it at the very end of last semester, but the way I explain it to my students is, listen, this is going to be new for you. This is going to be new for me. So let's go in there together and let's learn and let's experience this together. And even if we stumble, we can just get back up and dust ourselves out. And that's what it's all about. It's about resiliency. So the students have developed their own protocols for how they start the classroom. They basically, they take their own attendance. I tell them, I'm not going to pop up on camera until I know that you're ready to go. And then they will, they'll form up. So they'll stand up, even if they're at home. They'll snap to attention. Then they'll move to parade rest. And right after that, when I know they're at parade rest, that's when I say, okay, I'm coming in. And then I activate my camera. Room attention. And then, sir, so-and-so reports his order, okay? So we go through that process, and then the cadets will pledge allegiance to the flag. They'll recite their cadet honor code, and then they'll tell me, Bravo flight ready for instruction, etc. And then we get the class going. So if you don't think that's cool, I don't know what is. I mean, that's how disciplined and how extraordinary our young people still are. So those were unexpected things. The curriculum's good. We've got new physical fitness gear. They're proud of wearing it. I've got cadets who still show up after school and they're helping out. And so, excuse me, I have to give special thanks to our district. So Dr. Hinman and then our school, Dr. DeRico, and everybody in between, the community as well. We have massive support in our program. There hasn't been anything that I've asked for that I've not received. The availability, I mean, Dr. DeRico could say, nope, sorry, I can't have you here after school, Captain, or we can't make that happen, but the trust that's involved there of, sure, bring your cadets in, take care of business. I trust you, we're good. It's there. And so we're able to move forward. So those are really good things. And I call it the day school stopped. What was it? Early March, we had just finished our inspection before the pandemic actually hit. And we did pass our inspection, not to the level that we wanted to, but we had a very tough inspector. But right after that, we decided that we were not going to stop. We're going to be resilient. We still want to be number one. We want to be that top 5% of the junior ROTCs in the nation. And that's what we're gunning for. So that's really cool. Do you have any questions so far in terms of where the program is going?
I just wanted to make a comment. I do know we have a few special education students that I'm personally familiar with that have been in your program. I've actually never met you face to face, but I know your name. You have made a very large impact on some of our special education students. I have one student I'm thinking of that he goes to school because of you.
Really, yes. Wow.
And this is a student who has difficulty participating in any kind of general education environment, but you've made a tremendous impression and impact on him and really changed his life. So it's really good to finally meet you because I've heard your name many times over. So thank you for all that you do for the kids. You're clearly a talented teacher. You've reached a lot of tough kids.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. And obviously we can't reach them all, but at least we're trying, you know. And I mean it when I tell them that, you know, I do love them. I don't know how to explain the passion that I have for showing up to class and seeing them and to watch them develop from freshman year to, sorry about that. Let me ensure I'm plugged in. Hold on.
There's those gremlins again.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So yeah, watching them develop from freshman year through senior year is just amazing. And I'll share a couple of pictures with you of some success stories. The students that actually serve in the military is only about 5% out of any given year. Some years we have a few more than others, but we've yet to get students to enter commissioning programs, and that's what we're working on next. But I do have some success stories in terms of students wanting to be medics in the military and you know, obtaining the job, earning those jobs, and then wanting to fly around the world. And guess what? One of my cadets, and I'll show you this picture later, Cadet Christian Downing was he was at Edgewood High School. His sister was at West Covina High School. He didn't want to come over because he said, no, I like it at Edgewood and my friends are there and we have a junior ROTC club. I said, great. Something happened. He decided to come over. So this is a typical story. The cadet, very much an introvert. All of a sudden something happens and they're extroverts and now they're leading the Corps. They're the Corps commander. So in charge of 100+ cadets, you know, conducting public speaking events, not just at the high school, but in the greater area. So now those cadets are going to be leading the Air Force. So it's pretty neat,
Wow. Just a comment also from our end. Over 5 years ago, I remember that the ROTC program at West Covina High School was not doing very well. The amount of students that were involved in it was kind of small, and the board was apprehensive because it was even a point where the program would have been disbanded, and that's when Captain Acuña-Perez came on board and literally turned it around. And it is something that's very endearing for the board as well. It's a program they wanted to see and they wanted it to be successful. And that time, it was a couple years ago, I know you were tempted to go somewhere else and decided no, like West Covina High School. And we said, thank goodness. But it's been a really, really positive thing having Captain Acuña-Perez with us. It's very endearing. We support him 100%. He does amazing work with those kids. They're fantastic.
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Captain, did you want to share some pictures?
Yes, and one thing I'll leave you with is where this program is now pretty much developing into. So not only do we, you know, teach the classroom and provide all these opportunities for the students to be involved in terms of they actually, our school has, or our unit has its own, I would say, team for Riverside National Cemetery. So they actually handpick the cadets who are going to go to Riverside National Cemetery to perform the last rites of our fallen vets in front of families, in front of friends. I mean, this is a real deal. You know, it's not something that is just rehearsed or it's actually performed in front of loved ones. So they take those duties seriously. and they perform out there. We were performing every second Tuesday of the month over at Riverside National Cemetery. That's going to be the country's largest national cemetery very soon. I mean, they're expanding it like crazy. So we're Team 46 there, and it's all cadet led and run. Now, all I do is facilitate it. So that's one thing. And then the other aspect is our nation is experiencing a great pilot shortage, not just in the military, but also commercially. So what the Air Force is doing is they're promoting ground certification training. So if the students if they have we call it the whole person concept. If they have high academic grade point average, if they're athletic, then the Air Force will fund them to travel to one of the 20 universities across the nation, and they'll pay for their ground ops, 100% free. And that's the first step in becoming a pilot. So that's what they're doing right now. And it's starting at the sophomore level. So we'll be getting that started soon. I think we're gonna have some favorable results. We have some very sharp cadets this year. So we're looking forward to that. Let me share a few pictures with you. Let's see here. And please feel free to ask anything.
I got a question for after the pictures.
Yes, and I have a comment, and that is I have subbed for Lindy Okura, or Lindy Loringer, who's right across the classroom from you.
Yes, sir.
And I see that the students that are in your program, they have such a sense of pride about what they're doing. It's unbelievable. And
Yes,
to
sir.
see them in class and things like that, you have instilled such a great sense for them. You have done just a tremendous job.
No, thank you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I really do. Let's see if we can pull this up here. Bear with me. Hopefully. Can everyone see Cadet Christian Downing?
There it is.
Okay, so that's Cadet Christian Downing. Let's see here. And that is now Airman Basic Downing, soon to be Airman First Class Downing, who will be a C-17 aircraft loadmaster. So this is a student, my cadet who did not want to come over to the program initially, and then finally did. Just a fantastic young man, but unfortunately, we're not able to attend his basic training graduation, but he will be graduating in the next 2 weeks. So he's doing great. And to me, he's got the dream job, if you will. These are our cadets. So this past year was the first time we were able to be in a parade, and of course, our very own city, and couldn't be prouder of them. So that's the West Covina Parade. This is retired Colonel Ben Young. So this was at the very beginning of March. We had our highly anticipated evaluation, and Colonel Ben Young is one tough evaluator. I will definitely tell you all that. The type of discrepancies that he wrote us up on were valid, I would say. He's a very, by the book kind of gentleman, but he actually measured our logistics room, our uniform room, because the instruction calls for 300 square feet of climate controlled storage space. I think we came about 15 feet short of that. So we have to answer that, and that's that. But nevertheless, he gave us accolades. He asked me if I was willing to teach a seminar over at Montgomery, in Montgomery, Alabama, at Maxwell Air Force Base, and we'll see about that. But these are our cadets, and if you notice, they're sharp. They all look sharp, and like you mentioned, sir, they have an extreme amount of pride. They had just finished what they call their 30-step drill, and they knocked it out of the park. And again, they train themselves, because if the program is not cadet led and managed, then essentially I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So let's see here. All right, stop share. So those are a few of the things that I wanted to share with you, but overall, so far we've exceeded the expectations, particularly because of COVID. So I think that as soon as we resume, person-to-person classes, then it's gonna feel like we never left. We're gonna pick up right where we left off. and do fantastic things with our students. So
Okay.
I appreciate your time. I wish I could have been in front of you physically and showing you other things, but that wasn't the case.
We have some questions, Captain.
Please.
I stepped away for a second, and since the outdoors is a much healthier environment during this COVID time, are you able to get these young people outdoors doing things that you'd like them to do, from, climbing trails, doing, biking, whatever? I mean, is that a possibility for you right now?
It's a fine line to tether, because the Air Force, so headquarters Junior ROTC said, no, you all have to cease and desist all types of operations. So the last event we held was our military ball. And in that ball, we were guests. We always participate alongside of Fullerton High School, Buena Park High School, about 5 other schools. And shortly thereafter, they said, anything that has to do with socialization of any sort, or even if you're going to be outdoors, is prohibited. Now, they're starting to give us a little more leeway. So this is where the principal is able to ask us in. So things like that, we actually have the baton death march. It's not a death march, but it's a overnight march. And this is where we introduce our cadets to camping. So we'll pick a trail that's not too difficult. As long as we can meet the close to 13-mile mark, we have all the gear. We have the pup tents, we have sleeping bags, we have canteens, and so we'll march in, we'll ruck in, and then set up camp. We introduce them to the meals ready to eat, the packaged meals that the military uses. Spend the night, and then as soon as the sun comes up, we wrap it all up, and we always leave the place better than we found it, right? That's our motto. Anything we touch, we better be good stewards of. So that's one thing, and I'm just waiting for permission to resume. The other thing we were very proud of is the cadet leadership camp that we hosted last year, and that's a week long. That takes place at either Big Bear, Warner Springs, or Lake Arrowhead. And this is where the students get to experience zip lining, horseback, even shooting the .22 rifle. And we don't endorse violence or weapon violence, anything like that, but it's all about the discipline and all about the opportunities and exposure. A lot of these students had never been camping in their life. So to see the smiles on their faces, it's priceless, So hopefully we get to do that. And right now we're trying to figure out how we're going to exercise. For instance, right now we did what we call poker PT. We have a deck of cards, and then I randomly select the cards, and then we'll do push-ups and a number of repetitions. But now what we're trying to do is, okay, let's see if we can get outside and go for a 1 mile jog. But you have to consider all the safety factors. Even when we're working, when the students are working out at home, some of them have very reduced spaces to work out in. So I have to be very cognizant of that. I will say this, I'm lucky in the sense that I can have the student activate his or her camera, where a lot of teachers can't ask that. But I tell them, listen, if you can't turn on your camera for me, then I can't verify that you're actually participating, that you're doing it correctly, and that you're safe. So if I can't verify those 3 things, then you have to return either you have to pick another elective, or you have to go back to standard PE, which is, I'm not sure exactly how PE is running their program, but we treat this program as a privilege, and it's clearly out, written in the contract.
Question. Okay. You mentioned earlier that your group periodically does burial ceremonies at Riverside.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is my question. Does this mean that your group does those for a veteran regardless of the branch of that veteran?
Yes, sir.
Or only for Air Force vets?
Regardless of the branch. So the way Riverside National Cemetery, their management, the way they're staffed is they have volunteer teams. There's a volunteer team that's, I would say, in their 50s to 60 year range. and they're all volunteers. And then sometimes the Marine Corps will come in and volunteer with their teams. And then there's, as far as I know, there's only a few high schools, and we're one of them. So we show up early, we show up in the morning, and then we get our assignment list in terms of all of the burials, the ceremonies, and the committal locations. And so I'm the Uber driver. I drive them around in the van. They check out their M1 rifles, their blanks. They check everything out, the bugles, and then we will basically drive from committal to committal. And they understand that as soon as we get to the committal area, it's game on. They have their game faces on, and once they fire the volleys, then they'll play taps on the bugle. They'll pick up the brass and they'll actually deliver it to the fallen member's family. Very touching. I get goosebumps just mentioning it to you. But it's a serious gig, and they do outstanding work. Any service.
Well, you're damn right, it's serious.
Yes,
let me ask you this question. You may not even know the answer. If an Army veteran in advance says that I want Army people to handle my burial ceremony, can that be arranged, or is it?
Yes, it can, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I mean, I would, not that I'm for all services, but when the day comes, I want Air Force Junior RTC members to do it if they're around.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
And I'd just like to mention also, if you can think of any ideas of incorporating our cadets, please do. Don't hesitate to contact me, because like I mentioned, we really miss Red Ribbon Rally, just like you all do. That's something that we look forward to. I miss talking to Mrs. Camarena, and it's just that is an amazing event that we host every year, and boy, do we miss that and everything else.
And I just want to say, Captain, this is Yolanda. I'm sorry that my camera's not working. I apologize. But
That's okay, man.
I wanted to thank you because your cadets have been so helpful for the Heart of the Valley 5K run in the past few years. I know we've emailed back and forth, and you've always been great at providing some of the cadets.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, whenever we can do that back in person, we look forward to having the cadets help us out again, because they're just a joy to work with. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We look forward to assisting. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Any other questions on anything? The curriculum, on...
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. This is Vicki Abbott, by the way. How you doing?
I can tell. How are you, ma'am?
I just wanted to mention that True Fawn. You remember True?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Okay. Well, True Fawn, he is currently going to Cal Poly Pomona. He's taking 6 credits, and he really knows right from wrong. And you done good by him.
Oh, that's great. We missed him. We missed him during the senior, but I have to be understanding that young people should experience as many opportunities as they can. So, and that's the other thing. When they tell me, we can't have our son or our daughter because either they're in football or they're volleyball, and I tell them, well, I don't see a conflict. I give you my word that they will never miss a practice and they will never miss a game, because I'd like to insert myself in the student's shoes. That's a grand opportunity for the student, and they can still be cadets. We just kind of take a back seat to their sports or whatever program they have. And then once the season's over for that sport, then they resume their cadetmanship. So,
well, I wanted the Rotary Club to know that he was actually in your program. He received a scholarship of $750 this summer from our club, and he was, of course, vice president for the West Covina Interact Club, and
yes.
Anyway, so
fantastic.
He was involved with you, and I know he thinks highly of you. So, thank you.
No, thank you. We think highly of him as well.
Captain, would you mind
Captain, this is Drexel.
Sir, how are you?
You have said several times how your offer to help us, but let me turn that around. please remember whatever we can do to help you is a priority also. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
let the phone ring both ways, please.
Absolutely.
Sorry about that.
And, you know, I'm glad you came on. Go ahead, man.
Captain, would you explain a little bit about your curriculum?
Yes, absolutely. So we teach aerospace science. So we teach everything from radio controlled aircraft to rocketry. You know, how does propulsion work? What's the difference between a propeller type aircraft and a jet engine aircraft? So we get into those dynamics. We talk about all the different parts of the airplane. We try to excite the student in that matter. We also delve into history, and we'll talk about events that have shaped our country: World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War. And it's important for the students to learn these things, particularly when our vets are honored, like at our Veterans Day ceremony, like Mr. Drexel. You know, he's a Vietnam War vet, and some of you, I'm sure, are as well. But when you read about it and you learn about it, it's great. But then when you actually meet an individual that was there, now it gets real. Now it gets important. Now it's the rubber meeting the road, per se. So we teach history. We also teach world culture. So we'll learn about, for instance, Latin America. We'll learn about Russia. We'll learn about Europe. And then this is where it gets really cool, because I can say, yes, I lived in Japan outside of Tokyo for 3 years, or I lived in a small village in Germany for 3 years. And one daughter each was born in those places. And I can tell you exactly how it was, and the differences in our cultures and things like that. So we teach that, and then life skills. So we'll actually get into what it's going to take them to survive when they graduate from high school. Practical skills. You want to drive a car? Okay. What type of vehicle are you going to drive? Is it paid off? You're going to finance it? What type of insurance does it require? What about you living on your own? Do you require renter's insurance? Probably a good idea. So we delve into all those areas, and then we get into survival skills. And that's more it's a small section, but nevertheless, earthquakes and fires, and what do you do when the internet's out? How do you communicate with your parents? So we get into a little bit of everything. The person that I want to highlight, who you may know, is Sergeant Lewis, local Army recruiter. We're going to miss that guy tremendously. That gentleman has been my sidekick throughout the years where I haven't had a real sidekick. And he's taught the kids land navigation with compasses and protractors. And so the students get to do that, We'll teach them protocols and proper etiquette. So we'll actually use a cafeteria at the end of December. We'll dine on In-N-Out Burger, but we'll basically apply all of the important etiquette aspects of no elbows on the table. If a lady has to use the restroom, the gentleman get up. When she's coming back from the restroom, they get up. And these things are then practiced at the military ball. And I can tell you that out of the 5 schools that we are at the military ball with, our kids stand out. They're the best.
Amazing.
That's great.
Yes, sir.
Got another question.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking of the numbers. There's a certain number of your kids that go on to college. I'm sure that not all of them, but a certain number. What I'm curious about is those that do go to college. What percentage of those become members of college level ROTC?
And that's where we are. I don't think it's ever been supported until I arrived. So I've yet to even know one cadet who started the program, say at the Army ROTC or Air Force ROTC. And mind you, I worked in that environment. So I know there's 3, Loyola Marymount, there's a USC, and then there's Cal State San Bernardino. Those 3 colleges have Air Force ROTC programs, but unfortunately, our cadets have not pursued that career opportunity. Not yet, but I'm hoping that they go for it.
Boy, I'd like to see you push that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Me too.
I'm Army ROTC originally, so.
Fantastic. That was a great program. I learned quite a bit teaching ROTC. Any other questions at all? Let's see, we talked about the curriculum. We talked about some of our, what we call leadership development requirements. That's community service.
Yeah, I have a question. This is
Yes, sir.
Justin Glenna. How you doing?
Good, sir.
I
How are
was
you?
just thinking of, the kids that join the program with you, where they actually come from, if it's more like, the certain type of background, like, maybe they've been in Boy Scouts already, or they're coming from families that have a lot of military already. Is it kind of structured that way, or do you get a lot of new kids that are just want a new opportunity, a new direction, and families that support their structure, get some structure?
No, that's a great question. And so I'll be very, very open with you. West Covina is, even the San Gabriel Valley, with the exception of Los Alamitos, there isn't a real big military presence, right? Not like in San Diego or not like in San Antonio, Texas. So a lot of the students, if they're not from a military background, which that I would say they form about 15% of our core. That's not very high. Most of my cadets are from the lower socioeconomic tier of life. Single parent homes, lots of challenges. And, it's okay. It's okay because I can speak to that. I can talk their talk. And so I think that helps out quite a bit.
Okay.
In terms of just being able to offer the military.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges for parents, and your program's great to keep kids going in the right direction. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Captain, are you required to create, take statistics like that and be able to present them when asked?
We're not required, but I have been tracking them. I definitely have, in terms of the number of students that actually join the military. I try to follow them, the ones who actually go to college, etc. So I do track those stats, but we're not required to. The only thing that the Air Force Junior ROTC folks are asking for is a breakdown of the demographic data. The different ethnic cultures, breakdown of gender. Is it a Title I school? How many of our students are on meal card, et cetera? That's pretty much all they're asking for.
I'm wondering, when they graduate high school from your program, is it different to go to a college ROTC program? Why wouldn't they just join the Air Force? Most of them are 18 at that point.
And the ones that are joining the military, some of them, for instance, there's still a very big interest in the Marine Corps. So this past year we had 2 of our cadets join the Marine Corps. I had another one join the Army, and one that actually departed my program when he was going to enter his senior year is joining the Navy. So I was very, very happy about that. And then I have my Air Force cadet that I highlighted. But yeah, I would think more of them would join, but there are different.
Wouldn't they be automatically admitted when they've finished your program? It's kind of like a stepping stone, and they're not.
And I'm glad you asked that. So in terms of the college ROTC programs, the commandant of that school would be able to exempt them from some or the entire first year of learning, which is the basics. How do you march? How do you put on a uniform? Protocols, etc. That is waiverable, but the real aspect here is, and right now I'm coordinating with the district so that we can get our CTE certification, because our program is worth money. So if a student completes 2 years of junior ROTC, they can enter the Air Force and other services as an E2 instead of an E1, like Jesus Acuña-Perez right out of high school. Or if they serve the 3 years, well, then they can go in as an E3. So now they have 2 stripes on their shoulder and they're making more money. And that's awesome, because I'm telling you, it was pretty frustrating to have been in for 4 months and I was already doing the job in Abilene, Texas. And here comes a kid who just arrived on station, but he had completed junior ROTC and he already ranks me. He's already telling me to go clean the urinals. Yeah.
That's great.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for doing such a great job with our kids.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Captain, appreciate your time and patience with all our questions. I
love them. I love them. I get very happy about you all being interested in some of the aspects of the program. I wish we had more of these programs around the country. And I'll leave you with this. At the end of the year, when we have what we call a chief enlisted manager, a cadet who's in that position. And that cadet's mission is essentially quality of life. So that cadet has to survey our students and ask them, okay, what did you enjoy about junior ROTC? What could have been done better? And just about every time the cadets will answer that they want more discipline. I kid you not. So,
Dude who wants
so if that's not a sign, if that's not saying something, then we're not listening, because I get it. We want to be nice to our youth and all that. And I'm not saying I mistreated. Please don't misinterpret me. But I do hold them to the standard. I don't waver from that. And so I call it tough love. But at the same time, I'm very nurturing. So business is business. I'm going to hold you to those standards. On the personal level, I still love you, but you got to do your job. You got to take care of business. You got to do your homework. You got to be respectful with other teachers and all those things. And so, but they're asking for that. They want more discipline. So it's like, wow, okay. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
That's great. It's nice that they're acknowledging the benefits.
Yes, sir. It is.
Love that. All right, folks. I think we will at this point. I'd just like to reiterate Drexel's point, just not to let it get lost. That be sure that if there is something that the club can do, and that you'd like help with, why you have points of contact to reach us, and we'd love to participate and help. So
thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Before we close up, I just want to say hi to Jose. We've missed you for a while, because have we got the email stuff figured out, Jose?
Yeah.
Yay! Jose and I were not on email, so that's why he's been missing. So he wasn't getting the notices. So we're good. And all right, folks, let's jump to the four-way test. So here we are. First,
is it the truth?
Truth. Second, is it fair to all?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third, will it build
goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth, will it be beneficial
to all concerned?
Fifth,
Is
it fun? And let me get my cursor going here. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate it showing up, and I'll be putting the video up and tagging it in the trumpet like usual. Okay.
Sounds great.
Thank you very much, Captain.
Thank you very much. You all have a wonderful Wednesday.
Have a great week. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Likewise. Take care. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Yeah. It's
ROTARY, the spells Rotary.